Hello and welcome to another GM Tip Ultra. This is the first of the Ultras, and the Ultras I'm going to use for you folks when the audience has questions about either a GM Tip video I've done or maybe a book I've talked about or a series of adventures or anything of the like. This is less on just GMing as it is specifically to a type or a genre or a system. So, the first of these is regarding Skulls and Shackles. It's a great pirate adventure that is usable either for Pathfinder or 3.5 D&D or 5e D&D or Open Legend RPG. Any of these you can use with it. It's easy and very transferable for the systems to use these with. Now, one of my viewers asked about a series where I did, and I commented on it, and I said I like this about this. And I did a review of the whole adventure path earlier in some of my GM tip videos, if you take a look, especially when it comes to pirate-themed stuff. And the listener or subscriber basically asked me, hey, RicMTheGM, can you share with me how you would run these adventures in a, well, how would you run them? How would you run the ports of call? So the various points where there have either cities, towns, ports of call, how would I run them? And that's a very good question. First thing I would say is you need the right material to run them. Materials that will help you with that are Razor Coast, Freeport, this is what you get when you do home GM tip videos. This is Sassy, sneaking by. And I would get the Isle of Shackles campaign guide. Now, you won't be able to buy it, most likely, new from Paizo because they run them for so long, and this is an older adventure series back in the number 60s. So unfortunately the campaign resource Isle of the Shackles is unavailable unless you get it just on PDF, which is fine. PDFs are great. They last a long time. You can print them as much as you want. You definitely want that because it describes the area and the various islands and the various free captains that are in this particular adventure path, and it gives you other ports of call that maybe you haven't thought about using. Now, the first thing I did is I get the campaign printouts for a settlement. And I take the settlement material and I move those with all the personalities recommended into the settlement as the major, what are the dangers, what are the adventures, who will you meet in this area, and you can add people, and I do suggest this. I suggest fleshing out any of the NPCs where they give you a name, a class, a sex on them, whether they're male, female, trans, bi, whatever. I mean, you want to make sure, and then what race you are, and then what class and level. Now, there's been a lot of new classes and archetypes that have come out since, and I'm hoping they'll do a remake on this, because this is a really good adventure path. I hope they do it in a hardbound, like they've done Curse of the Crimson Throne and some of the others. Now, let's get into the details. Why do I say get all this stuff? Because what you're going to be doing is you're going to need this material, and it will help you to organize. If you put all these ports of call, especially even what's mentioned in here, into that settlement sheet, it will help you to modify people's roles, to figure out how the infamy will play in there, because it takes the place of fame points. So infamy is the opposite of it. And as you know, pirates want to be infamous. Blackbeard, Davy Jones, all of them want to be, oh gosh, who else? There's Redbeard. There's so many different pirates that were around back in our days. You want to take and basically flesh these out so that you will have at your fingertips all the different personalities. Now, if you have Hero Labs, I also recommend putting them into hero labs to build out and flesh out their stats. Because again, what's going to happen and what's important? Here's what's important. Your characters are going to go up as you go along in the adventure. Your PCs. Your NPCs should move up with them. Especially if you see that it's not going to be a challenge for your NPCs. Or your PCs. Let them go up. Let them have different interests. And the nice thing about this, and I recommend this to all GMs, don't just go 100% from the rote material. The biggest mistake that, in my mind, as a GM that we do, is we go and read from the book, and we make the book our guide for the adventure. Well, guess what? Players can get books. They can figure things out. Somebody might have run in the adventure before, and now you're stuck with having to deal with this. So my advice is really, really, really simple to all of you. And it's this. Take, and I'm doing something because I want you guys to see the outline of this as I say it. Take and put them into a place where you can move them up and role play. And yes, this is out of the Skull and Shackles adventure path. So, you want them to advance, you want their goals to change, you want their background to influence how it's going to change, especially as you get farther into the path. Now, what are the settlements that are dealt with in these things? Well, as you can see, in each of the end covers of these books, they give you the section of the Skull and Shackles that they may be in and some clues of places to go. So I'm going to go through and talk about the different places. You're going to start off in a major part of the whole Isle of Shackles. And where you're going to be starting off is either in, and you can replace, if you want, Freeport with Port Peril. But Port Peril is where you're starting. What is Port Peril? You know Tortuga in one with Johnny Depp. I'm blanking on it. Pirates of the Caribbean. Port Peril is Tortuga in this world, wherever you place it. It doesn't have to be in Galarian. It can be anywhere in your worlds you want to put them. It can be in Greyhawk. It can be in Eberron. It can be anywhere. You can pretty much drop this in, just like you can Freeport from Green Ronin Press. That's why I say you can use either one. This is a major pirate hub. Not everybody there is pirate. They have trade agreements with other places in the world. They have infamous standing in the world. There are certain groups that do and do not like the pirates. The Chelish Navy, if you use Galarian. The Chels are an infernal empire run by an infernal queen that subscribes to Asmodeus. They are about the law. They hate when pirates break the law and sink their ships. So, that is one navy that does not like the pirates and has had it in for them for years. Again, goes into the plot a little bit. So, you are going to want to really play up. If you don't have a Cheliax in your world, say you pick somewhere else in your world, you have to find out where in Faerun, in Greyhawk, or wherever you choose to place this would fall in line with that infernal lawful empire. So that's one of the bigs that's in this whole campaign that you got to keep in mind. So Port Peril, even though it's an open port, they do not like the Chelish Navy or any Chelish ships flying the Navy flags or the country flags. They're fine with expats who come from the Infernal Empire who hate it, revile it, and want to leave it. In fact, some of the Isle of Shackle pirates are headed up by Chels. So, again, gives you a little bit of idea of Port Peril. They do not like the nation of Taldor. Taldor came in and tried to colonize the Mwangi Expanse, which is their African jungles in this world. The pirates work lucratively in the Mwangi Expanse. So they don't want an expansionist government coming in, and again, with the goddess Iamade and Abadar, they don't want all these gods and goddesses that oppose their goddess, Besmara. And Besmara is kind of like Calypso in the Pirates of the Caribbean. She is a fickle goddess, and she basically drives a lot of the needs here. So your main gods and goddesses in this town are Besmara, Caden Kaleen, the god of freedom and not slavery, though some of the pirates do enslave. Some of the minor deities of the demi-human races, the gods of Tien Sha. Again, you've got a couple different groups here. You have the Vudrani, which are your Indian cultures and your Persian cultures. You have the Tiens, and these are people, pirates from the Asia, so it'd be like Singapore is in Pirates of the Caribbean. They have the Osirians and the Rahadumis, so they're more the mocha-skinned Middle East and Egyptian type of pirates. Then you have some from Taldor and Cheliax, so it'd be more like your European pirates. So your French, your Spanish, and your British coming through there, or Italian. And then you have a mix of demi-human races that are in this whole area. So it's a very lively mix of cultures here. Port Peril has all of those jammed in there. So you got to keep in mind that ethnicity holds some value here, but not as much as you think. It's more the laws of the piracy and the pirate captain laws. This is also the seat of the free captains, Port Peril. So if something's going to be enforced by the free captains, it'll be here. The one rule that stands, and you got to remember in this whole island area, if you are not associated under a free captain, if you don't have a free captain who sponsors your ship that you sail and fly the colors, you are fair game to every free captain pirate ship out there. They do not like wannabes and people who come into here and don't follow the free captaincy and their laws. So it'd be like in Johnny Depp's area, where you come in and you fly a whole new set of colors to the ones that are already there. And they have their loyalties to the council, just like the Pirate Council on Pirate of the Caribbean. Dead Man's Chest, they have the Pirate Council there, and they have Davy Jones' Locker after that one, the third one, where it shows the captaincy. So there is, how should I say, honor among thieves here. And Port Peril shows that. There's a lot of rowdy taverns. Now, the one thing you have to watch out is press gangs. These free captains, pirates, sponsored pirates. So, Captain whoever, whatever, they're going to throw you into a press gang if you are at a tavern, you're drunk, and they need more crew. And that's kind of how this starts out with Barnabas Harrigan. Barnabas is an absolute friggin' scoundrel, along with Mr. Scourge. And I'm going to tell you, you play them as a Barbossa type or worse. They will press you into their ship. You will serve. It doesn't matter if you're a pirate or not. You are the target of their press gang search. So that's how Port Peril kind of lays out in the beginning. And so that is, I would play this place as just like Tortuga, where people are getting thrown out into the pig slop, or people are getting shot, where there are bar fights. This is your Tortuga. And so keep that in mind when you play this thing. That is how I would run it. Where if there is law, it's enforced by pirates, and they're not very nice, and they're not, they have a little bit of play in how they're going to handle you and help you. So that's the first town you run into. Now, after the first one, you go to the second adventure, and the second adventure has a very small town in it. It is named, hang on here, Oh, it's been a while, so keep in mind, I'm going back and resurrecting a lot. Rickety Squibs. So there's a very small place called Rickety Squibs, and Rickety makes a business on converting the profiles of ships that have been commandeered. So if you go and take out a merchant ship, and that's what pirates do, they don't sink or scuttle the ship if they can help it. They want to add that to their fleet. They'll keel haul the people on that ship. If you're worthwhile, they might sell you into slavery, forced slavery, oppressed slavery, or they might add you to the crew. Depends on what they want to do, because they got to take care of their losses. So it'd be almost like Davy Jones saying, "Do you fear death?" Yeah, it's kind of like that. And Barnabas Harrigan is just like him. He is very much the Davy Jones of this whole scenario, is the best way to put it. Now, Rickety Squibs. Rickety is a wheeler dealer. You come in, you give him a couple days, he'll change your ship, he'll change the name on your ship, the nameplate, rechristen it, and get you ready to take her out again. And that's what the party is going to be doing. They're trying to get rid of the wormwood because of what goes on. They're trying to get rid of Harrigan. They don't want Harrigan knowing they're still around. And they're going to take a ship that they basically raid and convert it. So Rickety, he doesn't align one way or the other. He doesn't care about who you are so long as your doubloons be your doubloons. And you pay up. He is a haggler. He is a little bit of a scoundrel. But again, he's a businessman. And he does not want to ruin his business. He's got a nice side business. He doesn't get hurt. He gets to do this little area off the coast of the Mwangi Expanse where he can convert you. And it's a small village. So the people are very insular there. They are not going to let you know a lot of information like you could get out of Port Peril. They're very protective of their enterprise. And so if they do help you, you have to do something to prove your worth and your mettle. And that's what the party is going to be up against. And that's how I play it. You don't play them to where they're very open-minded. Now, fortunately, you get several adventures. You don't get to go to a lot of ports of call necessarily in this. But you do come into a place in this adventure here, the second one called Raiders of the Fever Sea, where you're going to be going up against a tower owned by Agasta Smithy, basically called the Lady of the Rock. It's Tidewater Rock. Tidewater Rock, they are loyal to the Lady. The Lady is an absolute scoundrel and self-preservationist. She is the wife of a former pirate captain, free captain, and she does not want people to come and visit her place. But that place becomes the center focal point of the party's operations, unless you want to change it up. So that's another area where Royster McLee is the man-at-arms. Royster will defend the lady because he loves her. And he will defend her hard. And so it's going to become a real thorn point for the players. Now, in this Raiders of the Fever Sea, the players can also raid villages along the Mwangi Expanse. Think of pre-colonial African villages to colonial African villages. They are more insular. They don't trust the pirates because pirates have been known to come in and turn their kinfolk into pirates or press gangs or enslave them. So they're not very trusting as you go into these villages. They might help you if you trade with them in a way that is positive. But I would start almost all the Mwangi villages at not hostile, but I would go in between hostile and indifferent for where they fall. Because most of them don't trust the pirates. Again. So, taking you through, and I know it's taking a little bit of time, but again, it was asked, how do I play these things? Well, I'm going to take you through each one. Now, the real interesting stuff comes at the Tempest Rising, because now you have to go to Port Peril, and you have to basically get into the Tempest race for free captaincy. Okay? And that is a real interesting time. The city of Port Peril is festive during this time. They want to see a new free captain on the council. You are up against many other pirate captains, and that's why that second, the Raiders of the Fever Sea, you're growing your infamy and your story to make you worthwhile to where somebody wants to sponsor you. Tessa Fairwind is looking your way. She has sat on the council for a long time. She's a fair pirate captainess. She really does want to find the right person to put into that position, because she does not trust the current Thunder King, as he's called her, or captain of the whole council, and that's Caradoc Bonefist. And Caradoc Bonefist is one mean SOB. He is not fair. He does not play fair. He doesn't care to play fair. He rules the free captaincy with an iron fist. He trusts none of the other captains except maybe a handful. He's got 3 or 4 that he trusts. So he is keeping a watchful eye on the party and the other free captains that are the other lower than free captains, because they're not on the free captain council and named free captains. So during that time, there is a lot of gunfire, if you allow, and I would. I mean, my recommendation, allow the black powder and pistols. I wouldn't go nuts with it, but that's part of piracy. It makes it fun. Otherwise, you're doing crossbows, and they're just not as fun to run with. Basically, Sadok Goldtooth is a half-orc that sits at the right hand of Caradoc Bonefist. He has his own ship, he has his own fleet, and he is a loyal servant of Caradoc Bonefist. So the party is not going to sway him in any way. Port Peril is dangerous. Plus, you have somebody showing up at the Riptide Ale House, and you get to see her because she's the one that press gangs the original party in the beginning. That's Cocky Taroon. Cocky is a one-eyed, surly little piratess. She is deceptive. She is conniving. She sees the party and freaks out. She wants to get back to tell Barnabas Harrigan about finding them there. And then they become the target of Barnabas Harrigan. You also have some side adventures going different places. Now, I'm not going to talk as much there, but just know that they are in danger in the city of Port Peril. In fact, Giles Helmuth, the assassin, and one owner of the Jasper Leaf, Zaraskia, are the two that are the most conniving of all. Because what is going on is they have sold out Caradoc Bonefist to the Chelish Navy. And they have a Chelish Navy contact, a daughter or a cousin in one of the House Thrune who rules that area. And what the Chels are trying to do is infiltrate the free captaincy in that town. Zaraskia is their spy at the apothecary. So she transits information on what's going on with the free captaincy to Miss Thrune, and tries to cause the demise of the free captaincy as well as the Isles of the Shackles. So keep that in mind. Peril is a place of intrigue, and a lot's going to be played there. Now, the price of infamy. This is where the party gets their own island. Okay? And they have to I'm sorry, not price of infamy, that's wrong. The Isle of Empty Eyes. If the party comes close to winning that race in the Tempest Storm, they're given an island, and they're going to show that they can build up an island, their own city, build their own little city or port of call, and then entertain several of the free captains to show their worth, that they can be more than just somebody flying a flag on a ship and calling themselves pirates. This you leave up to the party, but a lot of the people they're going to be bringing in are going to be people that they've worked with throughout the adventures. Okay? So the town can be however you want to make it as a GM. Keep that in mind. Okay? Now, the rest of the adventures will go back to the Price of Infamy and the final one, the From Hell's Heart. Go back to Port Peril, but not before they spend a little bit of time in Tessa Fairwind's Fair Island and in her area. Now, that area is by interest called, let's see if they've got it on here, Queen Bess or Besmara's Throne. Tessa Fairwind is a very devout Besmaran, and she believes in fairness. Her city is reflected that way. There is some intrigue there, there is some piracy, but they are loyal to Tessa. You might want to throw some spies in there from Ilsmagordy, which is the Red Mantis Island and city area. You might want to throw in some Chelish. Tough to get in there, though. So Aspis Consortium might be tough to throw in. But it's much more of a devout religious city to Besmara. There's a lot of shrines, altars, and things that go along with that. Now, what did we not talk about? We didn't talk about all the different cities from the Isle of Shackles. And it all depends on how you want to run them. I would add them in. Like Bag Island with Slip Cove, oh heck yes. Because that is the seat of worship for either Norgorber or Caden Kaleen or Besmara. These are freed halflings that have basically settled their own island. Most all the people on those islands are halflings. There are some humans. There are some probably, I would include some Mwangi in there. Basically, any of the cultures that have been enslaved by empires like Taldor and Sheliax and Rahadoom, they would go to Bag Island because it is the beacon island against slavery. Most of the people there are chaotic neutral to chaotic good or neutral good. They really do have a good heart. And Jolas Raffles, who's a bit of a interesting rogue, is the free captain who rules over Slip Cove. Why is it called Slip Cove? Because halflings are called slips. It's a denigrating thing because they're seen as sneaks, people who get information and hide in the shadows. Even though they're servants, their nickname is Slips. And Jolas is a very, very proud individual. So, not right now, sweetie. I'll get to you in a minute. Okay? Not right now. I'm doing a GM tips. Okay. So Jolas, if you take a look at his picture on page 7, he is a bit of a fop. And yet, he's not stupid. He's very charismatic. He's very opportunistic. He has his own manner. He doesn't want to get back out on the sea unless he has to. So he leaves a lot to his aide-de-camps and other people on the island with him. Rumbutter is the settlement where he has his home. And so you're going to be dealing with both the Slip Cove, the capital, Beachcomber, and Rumbutter. And those are 3 different cities. Now, Beachcomber is mostly halflings. It is has a lot of liberated half-orcs as well. Kind of a shady area. A lot of shady deals go on. And in fact, that's where there's a secret group of Norgorberites who see him, he's got many aspects. the poison aspect and the hidden information aspect are what most of these Norgorberites focus on. And they're mostly halflings, to give you that idea. Rumbutter is much more of a farm community. It's a more settled, relaxed area. There are 3 wonderful taverns there that are welcoming, that are not so suspicious, where the people are more of a true farming community. And so you have Betta's Birth, the Gilded Lily, and Shoppin's Roundhouse. I would have the party go there, especially if they want to hide out during the Fever Sea portion of it. It's a great place for them to go, and it is a very safe harbor that'll be very welcoming. Now, the party does meet up in part 3 and 4 of these adventures. So the 3rd and the 4th book with Anarax Endymion. And Andarax is a former Chelish Navy captain who was just disillusioned by how they treated him. So he took and made his own little Chelish haven in Hell Harbor. And the neat part about Hell Harbor is it is a interesting and intriguing city that has Golgon ruins or Cyclopean ruins on it. In fact, there's an arch called the Devil's Arch that is part of that city there in Hell Harbor. Now, there's also Mesdrubal, Pex, and Tivus Divus. They are interesting places, but devil worship is pretty rampant across the island. Mesdrubal is much more of Longbeard's area, even though he reports to Endymion. He contests it and does not recognize as much Endymion's rule in this area. So just keep that in mind as you're running that town. He is a mutiny waiting to happen for his main free captain. Now, Tivus Divus is much more of a insulary town. It is pretty impregnable, and there's a loyal chief and lieutenant to Atarax Endymion named Ayame Paydamar, and she is a black-clad summoner captain, and she and her Edelion keep an iron-fisted rule. So outsiders not so welcome. So really, if the party wants to get away to Hell Harbor, it's like a piece of the Chelish Empire opening up to them, with maybe a little more freedoms. Captain Adamion has set up operas there, so they have the Chelish opera, the latest Chelish style on their buildings. It's his own piece of the Chelish homeland there in the islands. Now, some dangerous places if you want your characters to go. Motaku Island is one of those. There's a lot of half elves, half orcs, humans there, but it is very much like the Mwangi Expanse, and most of the pirates there are from that area, with a few exceptions. Lily White is a place I would recommend the party go, especially if they lean more good or chaotic neutral. Lily White was founded by one of the good captains, Delmornia Burry, and they worship Caden Kayleen, so it is much more a festive environment and open to people who worship Caden Kayleen and who hate slavery. And that's why you see so many polyglots there, is because they have been enslaved too often by the Taldorans or by the Chelish Empire, and they don't want that. I'm not going to go too much longer because I really don't want to just bury everybody on these. Shark Island. Now, that's a scary place. Olo is the capital. But the Shark Islands is home to the weresharks as well as the Shahagan. And Black Blood K is run by Simeon the Vain, and it is a power base for one of the rising stars called where Simeon is that star looking to become a part of the captain's regatta. In fact, the party will come up against him and Arkel Kruget possibly during those races. And Olo is the home to the Wares. And the captain there is Avamar Soranash. The party will run into him on the island of Eyes, Many Eyes, because Soranash is one of the captains sent to basically judge them. He is very evil, but at the same time can be convinced, though they love the bloodlust. And so if the party sets foot in Olo, heaven help them. And heaven help whether they'll survive an island full of weresharks, werewolves, wereboars, and the like. It is a nasty place. Finally, and I think this one to me is a lot of fun, is Drenchport. Drenchport is part of Tempest K. It is right on the eye of Abendigo. And the mysterious judge who is the druid captain, his name being Master of Gales, lives there in Tempest K and Drenchport. And so it is a lot of rain, a lot of flooding. It's a very heavily tropical area. So living on the edge of the eye like that makes it an interesting place to go visit. Definitely. Besmar's throne, of course, has Queen Bess, which we mentioned. There are other places to go, like the Cannibal Islands, where the Kuru are. They're pretty interesting, and they worship a dragon. So, yeah, it's a very interesting place. Dahak's Fang. There is an actual dragon, Ashak the Annihilator, that runs her own pirate army, and they take people and pirates and they make them sacrifices as a cleric of Dahak. So those are the areas that I really would go play with. There are other islands and other places you can go. They have a Rakshasa, they have a raptor area. It's a very interesting and rich place. Most of the settlements, it depends on the alignment of the captain, and you have to read in a little bit, but make them your own. At the end of the day, you can change these places to be whatever you want them to be. And that's the thing I did. I gave them personality, I fleshed out the captains, I made it interesting. And the party is looking for allies in all of this. That's the biggest key. And so you got to give them a chance to see what way they want to play their characters. But the end result is looking for allies. All right, I hope this helps. I hope this takes the time. I know this is about 30, almost 40 minutes. You can't do less than that, really. There are too many cities. But what I love about this is a pirate culture. Think about that. Watch pirate movies. Look at what they are like. Black Sails is a great series to watch. Of course, our Pirates of the Caribbean. But there are other ones as well. Look for some of the more far out titles for piracy. Watch the History Channel. The Isles of Shackles are the Caribbean in this world. And so you want to try to impart that. I like the Tien ones because the Tien ones have both Japanese and Chinese Tien. Tien Min and Tien Shu. And they are interesting. Think about what Singapore was like with their different pirates and how they ran things. So it's a cross between the Yakuza and the Triads and on sales. So they're interesting, and it added some depth. I hope you enjoy it. If you got any other questions, let me know. These are the aspects. I loved the whole thing. I loved running it. And so it was a bunch of fun. All right, everybody, have a great one. Thank you for tuning into GM Tips Ultra. I hope this helps you to flesh out some of these things. Again, look at a resource like Freeport. I love Freeport, and it's a great sub-in for Port Peril, where you can give more depth to Port Peril. All right, thanks again, and have a super weekend.